Hey everybody, how are you guys doing?
We doing good.
We got some parents out here? Good, all right. Well, this is the place to be. I'm Candace Delmagno Rouge. I'll be moderating the session. I'm the founder of Ceremony. We help people honor, heal, and celebrate the losses, transitions, and achievements of life. And I'm also a mom running a business. So I'm really excited to talk with Sarah and Kourtney about how they do it. It's relevant for me, it's relevant for you, so let's get into it. Okay, so Sarah, can you start and just tell us a little bit about Lunnie? What is it and what's it about?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, thank you, Candace, and thanks for having me speak today. So Lunnie is a brand for postpartum moms. It came from my own experience as a mom. I have 3 girls now, ages 4, 2, and 3 months. So I'm like in the thick of it. And I invented a leak-proof nursing bra for moms. It's now patent pending. I launched it in March. It sold out. I'm about to restock it. So it's super exciting. It's a product that I really felt was needed in the marketplace. Didn't exist, and I wanted to really create a brand around it that was supportive of moms, and not just another maternity brand, because I felt through my own experience that the postpartum phase is not really addressed.
I could not agree more. There's a lot going on in the pregnancy stage, and then it's good luck.
Exactly, yep.
You're on your own. Okay, Kourtney, can you tell us a little bit about Tasty Love Baby Food?
So Tasty Love Baby Food was born after my 3rd child. I was working in administrative healthcare and going through all the things with working and being a parent and having to provide all at the same time. And so it was shortly after I went back to work after my 3rd child that depression really started to hit me. A little bit of it was obviously postpartum, but it really got me thinking about my life and how I wanted it to go. I started thinking about my kids being taken care of by everyone else but me, i.e. child care centers and schools and stuff, and then being at work and having to go through all the politics and things that I really just didn't want to go through. And so at the same time, I was making baby food and realized in going back to work that there was a need. And so in going through all this emotional stress, it really caused me to look deep at what I really loved and what I really wanted to do. And that's how this baby food business was started and thought of, because there is a need in the community. There's nothing comparable to homemade baby food in the grocery store. I mean, we have close calls, right? But there's really nothing comparable. And so I make homemade, like baby food. I use organic ingredients. We provide food for child care centers. Just recently partnered with Dayton Children's. We're in Dorothy Lane. And so I just provide a fresher, more homemade, convenient version of baby food for our local parents.
Beautiful. Can you tell me how old your children were when you started your business?
I can tell you how old my oldest 2 were. I think my youngest was just a couple months. Obviously, I was still making him food. He's 2 years younger than so 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then, how old is my oldest daughter?
You're like, this
oh my
is math.
gosh. I have a 17-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Okay. So some were younger, some were old.
Yes.
Okay. And then how old were you? How old were your children? Don't answer that question. How old were your children when you started Lunnie?
So I had the idea, it was January 2021. At the time, I was staying at home. You know, we were still like in full-on pandemic mode, dead of winter. My oldest was 2.5, and my youngest was 5 months.
Okay.
Was not pregnant at the time. And then
all of that has happened
9 months later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so very fresh in the motherhood phase. So for both of your businesses, they came from your personal experiences. Do you feel like that's contributed to your ability to run your business and grow your business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, like I said earlier, part of the reason why I became a business owner is so that I can be around my family more, be present more, which now you kind of laugh at a little bit as you get deeper into running your business. But one thing that keeps me going is obviously my kids. They can see what I'm doing. My oldest daughter is here today watching everything that I'm doing, and it's just great for the community. So for me, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I would echo that. I mean, I was nursing my second daughter. When I had this idea, I became pregnant again. Now I'm a consumer again of my product, right? Like I'm in this heavy stage, and I think being able to be authentic and share this with my audience, with people who are my consumers, people can really relate to that. And so I totally see it as an asset, you know, in just being able to share your story with people who are going through the same things you are.
Absolutely. So how do you, and do you, I guess, involve your children in your business? Obviously, for your 17-year-old daughter, that makes a lot of sense. She can see it, she gets it. For your younger children, or when they were younger, how did you talk about it? Did you talk about it? How do you involve them?
So my youngest two actually still consume my product, although they're 7 and 5. It's not just it's not just a baby food product. Because of the way that it's packaged, it's traveled with them throughout their entire lives so far. So that's kind of how we incorporate that with them. Fortunately, but unfortunately, they have not had hands in the business physically, but they definitely consume, and they see everything that I do. Even my 7-year-old is my right hand for the most part. She'll taste anything, and she has her favorites, and she'll tell people if she's at the market with me, this is my favorite, you should get that. So they are still consumers, like Sarah said, and they help me out a lot with that.
Beautiful. Sarah, what about your kids?
Yeah, so, well, my girls are a lot younger, obviously, but I really try to take the opportunity to share with them what I'm doing day to day, you know, why mommy has a meeting, who am I meeting with? My oldest, who's 4, her concept of Lunnie is mommy makes bras to help other mommies. That's what she says.
She's got it.
She's got it. She also thinks all I do is pitch competitions too. She'll be like, oh, the Lunnie competition. I'm like, that was just like 2 times. But, yeah, so I think, you know, it's funny. Your kids are always watching you, and you don't know exactly what they're picking up. But there'll be moments, my daughters say something, I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were paying attention to that, that was what I was doing. I mean, even like in my really scrappy days when I was prototyping my bra, every single day I was taking the bra out in a little pink bag, dropping it off on another mom's doorstep. And so my daughters would be like, who are we taking the Lunnie bra to today? Who's mommy? I'm like, it's your classmate, blah, 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 mom. But you know, they can get the concept, and just being able to share like why you work hard, why you're passionate. I think it's such a teaching moment. And for me, at least, that helps me with kind of the mom guilt I feel sometimes, right? Of not being with my kids 24/7 because I have this other passion and dream I want to chase. But trying to remind yourself that they are picking up on things that are so valuable that they're not going to learn in a classroom, right? So.
And even though they hate the deliveries, well, my kids hate them. Whenever we get in the car, my daughter's like, "Are we delivering orders again?" When they get older, they'll realize that and they'll appreciate it.
Yes.
So you're absolutely right. They watch everything, and it'll be a great impact later.
Both of my parents were entrepreneurs, and so I grew up where at that time we were doing mailings. So we'd be like, all right, we're going to help mom with the mailing this weekend, or those kind of things. But it does have an imprint on your education, how you grow up. And then for me to be interested in this path now definitely has come from that experience of witnessing them. So I'm sure it'll be the same for your kids. Talk to us a little bit about your backgrounds, and did you have any experience in what you're doing now? And if not, how did you learn?
Oh, you want to go? So the greatest impact to my background, I don't have, to answer one of your questions, I don't have nutrition specialist background. I do come from administrative healthcare, but I come from a family full of nurses. And one of the nurses that had the biggest impact on my life was my grandmother. She was an herbalist. She always preached health to us. She was everything, because my mom passed when I was really young, so she was that mom figure in my life. And so just coming from a childhood where we didn't eat fast food often at all, we made everything homemade. My grandmother had a farm. That was very impactful. Now, you get lost in the sauce a little bit when you get in your teens and 20s, but it always comes back to you. And so for me, that is the biggest impact to why I do what I do today. And my family will I get on their nerves sometimes because I try to hide vegetables in all of their food. My grandmother used to do the same thing. Did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, you answered the questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so I did not have a background at all in what I'm doing now. I actually grew up in the San Francisco area. I majored in journalism, and then I spent almost a decade at tech startups in San Francisco and Seattle in a marketing capacity. So I guess I always had the entrepreneur bug from working at startups, but had never done anything on my own. And then obviously venturing into design and apparel and manufacturing, I had no clue. I've learned all of it. Going through this process, I'm convinced, if you have the willpower, you can learn anything. And I also, another piece too, I just add, I think when I was younger, I kind of had this false notion of you build your career, pause, you're at the top of your career, start a family. And now being able to be on this journey, it's all intermingled, right? It's all kind of messy. And if you want, after you become a parent, to keep going and keep at it, you can. It's really hard, but it's possible. And so, now I, look at my younger stuff and why did you think you'd be dead when you're a mom? Just keep going.
Did you have any misconceptions about starting your business while raising your family?
You go first. I got to think about it for a second.
Okay, well, so yes. So I've, like I said, I have a 3-month-old. I gave birth to my third daughter in June. So it was really hard being pregnant. It's really hard physically going through that and just feeling tired and still keep going. I did the flyer pitch competition in April. I was, I think, 30 weeks pregnant. I was sitting right there. I kid you not. I went to the bathroom 5 times waiting to do. I was like, I must be setting a record, because just the physical constraints of, being a parent and a mom and growing babies in your business. So I think I have become, a lot better at time management, and that is really the key to being able to make it work. But yeah, just the misconceptions about everything's, gonna go lovely. You have your meetings and then your time with your kids. No, my day is just a mishmash. I see my kids probably every 30 minutes because they're up in my office and what are you doing? So yeah, the lines are blurred, but I kind of prefer it that way, honestly, at the end of the day, because they're so involved and I get to be their mommy too.
Yeah. What about you, Kourtney?
That is the biggest misconception, is that, going into business, I'm I get to spend more time with my family. I'll be there for my kids, and I am 100%. But the time management is the biggest misconception, because you spend so much time on your business, because for a long time, I wear all the hats.
Right.
I'm the marketing director, I'm the owner, I'm the mom, I'm the wife, I'm the, and so that is definitely, I can echo that a million times. The biggest misconception, you go into business thinking, oh man, I just want to spend more time with my family. And you do, because they are really involved. My kids have been at the commercial kitchen with me a number of times, but I can't echo that enough.
And then when it's your own business, it's not like there's a clear line of when you're done for the day or whatever. It continues into nights and weekends.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would just add to that, like, after I just had my third daughter, people are like, oh, are you taking a maternity leave? And I'm like, well, no, because I'm the only person running this ship right now. But it's such a passion of mine, like, I wanted to do it, right? And I took, I was doing way less hours than I was before. But I think that's what the difference is. Like, after I had my first daughter, I was, not working for myself. I was working at a job, went back to work, and, they sent me emails on my maternity leave. I'm like, how dare they, right? And now, like, I'm sending a bajillion emails from the hospital bed because I'm into it, right?
Yeah.
So it's, I
That
think
makes
it's,
the biggest difference. So it's something that you love to do. It's something that you love to do. So when we talk about this whole thing, I would rather drain myself doing something that I absolutely love than be somewhere miserable and don't have control of my household.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with that more. So, how do you manage it? How do you structure your day or your week to do all the things?
Dry erase board. Dry. If it's not on there, it gets lost in the sauce. I don't care if I put it on my phone calendar, my Google calendar. If it's not on the dry erase board, I mean, literally, that's how we function.
Yeah.
I have forgotten practices before, but that's how. And meditation, because you can. I lost it recently. Literally, I lost my mess, if you will, and you have to find a way to bring yourself back to ground. And so prayer and meditation, or however you guys, whatever your spiritual life is, you have to tap in daily. So
honestly, I don't feel like I really have tips for this because I'm still learning. I'm still in the phase where I'm not sleeping that much at night, right? But something that's different now is I do have childcare help now for the first time. Before I was running on like the patchwork of college sitters, high school sitters, like revolving my schedule around their class schedule. And it just, after my third daughter came, I was like, I have 3 kids under the age of 4. Like, this just isn't manageable anymore. And it was hard for me to say I need help and make that investment, right? Because childcare is an investment for sure. But that has helped me tremendously. So I have someone who helps me out in the morning to the early afternoon with my girls. And then from about 2 p.m. on, like, that's just mommy time until they go to bed. And then I catch up after they go to bed on work.
You guys have figured out your flow. But I would like to come back to the mess, because I think we've all been there, who's had when things hit the fan. Yeah. Let's talk about that. You don't have to tell us the mess unless it feels appropriate. But what do you do? What do you do? What are your practices? Or how do you work through those low points when the overwhelm or frustration or whatever hits a boiling point?
So recently is probably the first time I lost it in front of my entire family. Like, I just broke down sobbing. And it was really, the past couple months have been really busy and crazy for us. We moved, the kids went back to school, we experienced some slow months, or slower months, I should say. And so, with all of that going on, it does get very overwhelming. So that was probably the peak, that the highest or lowest, however you want to look at it, that I've seen in a long time. And you have all these personalities in the house, and so the fortunate thing about it happening in front of my family was that my husband is that tough cookie, right? And he's like, listen, you gotta get your mess together. And then all of my kids are comforters. But then after the height wears down, it's really, okay, my kids are happy, my kids are fed, we don't need anything. And so then like I said, I have to always remember to tap in and get that time for myself. I work out, or at least I did more than I do now, because because I don't hardly have time, but running helps me. Prayer, meditation, just getting out in nature. I think that day my husband took me fishing, and I never catch fish, but it was great to get me back to where I needed to be.
I love that. Sarah, what about you?
For me, it's just having a little alone time. Yeah, 3 little girls that are like climbing all over you all day long, just physically being able to get a break from that. My husband often recognizes that when he comes home from work and is like, do you need 10 minutes to yourself? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go hide. Like, and sometimes it's as simple as that. Like, I totally aspire to have some, better self-care routines, but honestly, like, at the end of the day, I sit on the couch, I watch one episode of Seinfeld with my husband, and then it's lights out, and like, that is my self-care, because that's just where I'm at in life right now, right? So, yes, can't beat a Seinfeld rerun.
No, you can't. No, you can't. I do think there's power in laughter, of just switching something, and so watching something that can get your energy from a lower point to a higher point quickly. Laughter's such a great way to do that.
Yes, actually, that is how I got my water to break with my 3rd daughter, was watching Seinfeld.
So how do you guys stay motivated through these ups and downs?
That has been the theme for the past couple months. I think there's a session on that in a couple days, actually, when you feel like you want to quit.
Yeah.
And I think since I've been in business, I go through that at least once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I quit my job to do my business full time. I jumped off a freaking cliff,
Right.
And I have a really great relationship with my husband, to where when I'm feeling like that, when I feel like that, I always start applying for jobs. and my husband's like, no. He's like, you have come too far to just quit. And in my mind, it's not me quitting. It's, okay, I'll do this in addition to. But I already do so much that my husband is a great reminder of that. And so staying motivated for me is just always staying in communication with my family about what I'm doing, and remembering my why. That's what I do.
It's good to have a champion
Yes.
living under the same household with you, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to echo that, my husband's been a great partner to me as well, and I feel like that's a common theme I see with entrepreneurs having very supportive spouses. I think especially as a woman, having a husband or wife that can really like champion you and pull you up on those days that you're feeling not so great. I always look, my girls are my motivation, right? And so much of the time as a mom, you're teaching them, about being kind and being strong and being brave. And I'm like, oh, crap, I have to do those things myself too. Damn it. But, just knowing that I'm their role model and trying to keep that going. But yeah, I mean, there are for sure moments like, having a newborn this summer, like she had colic, I had mastitis, and I'm like trying to talk to overseas manufacturers about things. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, and then my husband's like, you don't have to do all that right now. Like, you're the boss. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, just, I think, as a parent and entrepreneur, like family's key. Like that's what we keep talking about, and just keeping you going.
Yeah. So as moms and as women, can we talk about, I'm not exactly sure how to phrase this, so bear with me, but what has having your own business done for you as an individual? Not just the mom, you the person.
It's done a lot. I am a totally different person than I used to be. If I can speak 100% honestly, I used to be more reserved, I would say, than I am now. Definitely more confident, I've learned so many things about myself. I'm quicker to do things that I would never do, meaning they always say something is on the other side of fear. I can't think of the exact phrase right now, but I'm definitely quicker to jump off any cliff or hill. Just take more chances. But as far as the biggest impact it's been on my personality, I don't care so much about what other people think, because being a small business owner, but more importantly, being a business owner in a family of people with so many opinions, you have to be strong in what you want and be okay with that. Yeah. And so that is the biggest thing that I have learned, is not to lean on so many other different opinions, and to be confident in yourself.
Amen to that.
I love that. I relate to that so much. I feel like being an entrepreneur for me, I feel like I've stepped into my own power. Like this session, right, is called your superpower. But truly, I mean, I have so many friends and people in my life now that are just like, Sarah, like, how did you do it? Like, I have an idea for like this kind of product, but like, I've never worked in anything like it. I'm like, I know. I didn't know either. But let me tell you, like, you can figure it out and do it. And I think I went through the exercise of prototyping a bra for the last year, and it gave me a lot of confidence. Like, it was all gritty, it was all really scrappy, it was hard, but I did it anyways. And so, yeah, it's totally built my confidence. Like you said, like, you just don't like care about things that used to bother you. And I think I said this before a session, like kind of back to being a parent and an entrepreneur, like, I just don't have time to get like wound up about things. Like talking like to you today is something a few years ago I would have gotten nervous about, but now I don't have time to get nervous or care because you're just always so busy. So yeah, it's been really wonderful, and honestly, it's been really great for my relationship with my husband, because he's seen me, blossom and love what I'm doing, and it's really cool.
I love hearing that. So tell me where you guys want to take your businesses. Where are your hopes and dreams?
The question of the hour. I have done a ton of research with regard to other businesses like mine. The closest one is in Indiana, but there are tons out there, local baby food makers in different states. And I can say honestly that I stand out. It took me a while to figure out my niche, because although I am considered baby food prep, I've done a lot of different things outside of what those other businesses are doing. I absolutely, without hesitation, love providing food for child care centers, especially as my kids get older, because I can go in and see all the cute babies. But I see the appreciation of the child care center workers, or the staff, I should say, when I provide them with the food, or when I drop off the food. They absolutely love it. You hear things like, our pickiest eaters will only eat your food, or they just do something for me that I have to continue growing. And so for me, at least in the near future, I plan to continue growing within the child care center sector. We just picked up another mini university, Wright State campus. We just started providing for them. And so right now, that's the path that I'm on. Of course, we have the Dorothy Lane and online subscribers, but for me, the biggest win all around is with the child care centers.
Talk about giving back, for sure. What about you, Sarah?
So, right now, Lunnie, it's one product. It's my leak-proof nursing bra. I'm about to restock it. And I don't see my company as just a one-trick pony, right? Like I have a vision for a whole postpartum brand and all the garments that moms wear and accessories that they need, and being able to continue to grow my brand as this authentic voice, and really, just welcoming moms to say, come as you are postpartum. Like, it's gonna be messy, but I'm here for you, and however you choose to feed your baby or how your baby sleeps or whatever, there's a million opinions when you're a new mom on how to take care of your kid. So yeah, I'm having some really interesting conversations right now with venture capitalists, with major retailers. I'm now at the point where I have outgrown my current domestic manufacturer, and I'm looking to source larger manufacturers, which is scary, but I'm feeling ready to take the leap, right? Because I've laid all the groundwork and have proven that this is a product that moms like, that they love. So yeah, it's a really exciting influx point. And, I think the entrepreneur journey, you can plan so much, but then there's so many pivots that it takes, right? Like, we met last year at Launch Dayton for the first time, and we were both in the pitch competition that we both didn't win. And it's like, look at us a year later, now we're talking at the thing, and our companies have grown. Like, you all will be talking at this next year. So yeah, it's just amazing what can happen in a short amount of time.
So what advice do you have for parents in the audience that are thinking about taking the leap and becoming an entrepreneur, or if they already are entrepreneurs?
Just do it. I mean, I think that's a general piece of advice anywhere, right? It's no harder to be an entrepreneur with 6 kids than it is without. It's work either way, and you just have to be committed, and always remember your why when you have those hard moments. Kids are not, and so for me, just do it, because otherwise you'll regret it. In the way that things are moving these days, you just don't want to look back and say, what if I did that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you just have to make that first step. The first step is the hardest thing to do. And I thought about it for a while. And then once I did it, it was just amazing feeling, friends and family kind of rallying around me and being like, yeah, this is interesting. Like, what are you up to? And it just kind of continues to grow. And I think, for me, like, I would have rather tried and failed than not tried at all, right? And failure can be a great learning lesson for your kids. Like, actually, at the Launch Dayton pitch competition last year, when we didn't win, my daughter remembered that for a really long time. She's like, oh, is that the thing you stood on stage and you lost? I'm like, yeah, it was. But I was able to take my learnings from that and win something bigger. And like now, and I'll fail at something again, and I'll win at something again. But you just have to do it, and it really comes down to time management and giving yourself permission to, if you need childcare, make that investment, or, figure out some sort of solution so you have the time to dedicate to it. I started my business, in the dead of winter during the pandemic. I built my business for the first 9 months without childcare. Like, it was a nights and weekends business only. And then at a certain point, I was just pulling my hair out. I was like, this just isn't sustainable. And having the conversation with my husband, he's like, why didn't you hire a sitter a while ago? I'm like, I don't know. I thought we were all going to get COVID. That's why. But, just giving yourself permission and know that you're valuable, your ideas are valuable, and your kids will benefit from the experience as well.
I love that. Thank you for your wisdom, ladies. I'm going to open it up. I have no idea how much time we have here. Oh, okay. Okay, I would love to open it up to the audience. I've got some more questions, but want to give you guys a chance. Any questions for Kourtney and Sarah?
This lady.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm taking the lead. I'm gonna just do it.
Yay!
However, I am a single mom, so the support system is not there. Any advice?
Well, I gotta say, you're a badass. Number one, I've not been in your shoes, but like, hats off to you. I respect that. mean, I don't know if there are other people in your life that you can tap into and lean on. Honestly, in my entrepreneur journey, it wasn't always the people closest to me that really understood what I was doing. It was always other entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Actually, there's like friends in my life that I'm kind of like, you never ask me questions about what I'm doing. Like, well, you know,
Agree.
like, do you care? So I would say, like, tap into this amazing entrepreneur community.
Yeah.
We are here for you. You might feel crazy to everyone else, but like, we all know, like, what we're doing is important. And, you know, happy to have a conversation with you after this. I'm so excited to hear what you're making the leap on.
I agree with her, but I can come from experience. I was a single parent for 3 years before I got married, and I had 3 jobs and was in school full time. And so my biggest thing is it can be done. But I agree with Sarah. The Entrepreneur Center and all of our local entrepreneurs are probably the best community to tap into because we understand. And you're right, Sarah. The people closest to you will probably question you the most, but you will always find support in your local entrepreneur community. Yep. And you can follow me, and I can get your information afterwards as well. So that we can start growing your community that way.
I think that's a great point because even if you don't have the childcare support, you could find support in another aspect of bringing that dream to life. I think that's what you guys have shared. Thank you for your question. Yes, up top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Watching his mom. Yeah. It's not. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say launch date events definitely bring your kids. We have a few folks who bring their kids, so there's usually a pack of them somewhere hanging out, like while the workshop's going on. So definitely feel welcome to bring them.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that. I always joke and tell people that my 17-year-old already has her bachelor's and her master's degree because I took her to every single class with me, and the whole campus of Wilberforce University knew her because everybody babysat her. So you do have support in any community I wouldn't say any community, but like, you know, in school and especially with the entrepreneur community, definitely.
Yes, up top.
I got one up here. So, my name's Lauren. I have 2 little toddlers, and would you guys speak to the concept of mommy guilt? Of like,
Every day. Every day of my life. Just speak to it, or did you have something
yeah,
specific?
like how that has affected you, or how you mitigate that, how you work through it. As someone who like has clearly hasn't had a calling to like work, right? And that's not exactly what our society expects of us, but like that mommy guilt piece remains regardless. And, like, how do you work through that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think it's one of the things that's like such a shame in our society, right? Because my husband goes to work and he doesn't feel guilty. Like, that's the expectation, right? But when women go to work and are mothers, it feels different. And I think, you know, for me, when I started this, I was a stay-at-home mom. So my circle of friends are stay-at-home moms, and I have gone off to create a business. And a lot of my, you know, my friends are in their same roles and are happy being there, which is great. But I have a lot of guilt with that, right? Like, I see they're getting together and I'm not there because I'm working on my business, or they're doing something special for their kids. And like, you know, I didn't think of the cute little preschool craft this week. Like, you know, my daughter's bringing in just like a scribble drawing instead of like a collage of her whole family. Yeah, it's all those little things. And I think, you know, I'm giving the advice, like, remind yourself, right, that what your kids are witnessing you do is just as valuable. And I have to remind myself of that advice all the time. And, you know, those little nuggets when my daughters say something, when they're observing something about what I'm doing or when I'm teaching them and I can tell that they're getting it, like, that's kind of those little gems I have to hold with me to get me through my day and push through it. But yeah, it's very tough, and I talk to other mom entrepreneurs all the time. I think we can all relate to that, and just recognize that the guilt isn't from being a mom. I think it's more of kind of these societal expectations that are put on moms, unfortunately.
So I was going to say something to that. So I'm a coach and I'm also a mom of four, and I work full time and all that stuff, and I definitely felt like the mom guilt and stuff. And so I think it's a couple things. One is like just noticing that and being aware of the thought that you're having and how it's making you feel. Because like when we have kids, like our bodies go through this like experience, right? And so you can go into like a fight or flight response about, oh, my kid doesn't have this because they need to be fed, right? And that's, your bodies do that because it was made to do that to make sure your kid is fed or that you're fed or whatever. But like if eventually if you don't make yourself aware of that, then it can continue down the road to where I'm like, did my kid brush his teeth? Oh wait, he's like 8, he should be able to brush his teeth now, right?
Yeah.
So it's becoming aware of like these thoughts that you're having and how those thoughts make you feel and how they affect your nervous system, and then trying to like calm that. I mean, like, okay, this is a thought I'm having. It doesn't necessarily have to mean anything specific about me. And there's ways to work through that, but also just calming your nervous system in general and saying like, I'm okay, I'm safe. Like, if my baby's crying, it doesn't mean that the baby is starving. It just means that they're upset or they don't have something they want or whatever. But it's getting really conscious about that stuff, and it's hard, you know, like especially when kids are screaming or you need to get something done, but it's like kind of working through those and practicing through it.
Thank you for sharing that.
We got a question back here.
How can fathers, husbands, boyfriends, brothers, whatever, get involved with moms who are entrepreneurs, mompreneurs,
Good
or
question.
Any woman who is on that journey?
I love that. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Do you want to go first? or-
I think just being there in general. My husband is a huge support. Like I said earlier, whenever I feel like I want to quit, he's there. Whenever I am shorthanded, he's there and just always willing to chip in wherever it's needed, whether it's at the kitchen or, you know, he knows how to put a ponytail in my daughter's hair. You know, he's just there unconditionally. I think that's the biggest thing all around. And as a wife to someone who also is a business owner, I can speak to that because support in general, and communication with your significant other is the biggest thing, to even just know what they need. Because sometimes I'm like, get out of the kitchen, just go, and that support, you know. So for me, it's really communication, to even just know how to support your person.
Yeah, and just to echo on that, I mean, you know, if you're supporting your wife, if you have a family, if you have kids, like really looking at parenthood as a 50-50 split, right? Like the reality is my husband works in a healthcare job, so he works on site and he is not home, but the moment he gets home, he's like in full-on dad mode. And I'm so grateful for that because I have witnessed other friends that their husbands go and golf for like 5 hours, and my husband knows that's not part of this. So, yeah, he has been my biggest cheerleader through this process, and I think just that unconditional support, being able to lift your partner up, and you know, really being able to recognize when somebody needs help before they can ask, because often I think as entrepreneurs and moms, sometimes we have a hard time asking for that help,
Sure.
and then we just blow up one day.
Yes.
So
Sure.
yeah.
That's it. That's the rest of the time there.
Are we done with time?
Yeah.
Okay. I felt like we could keep going here. Thank you so much, Sarah and Kourtney, for your wisdom, for sharing your journey and your story with us. Please, everyone, join me in giving them both a warm
Thanks for
round of
having us.
applause.
Yeah, thank you so much.